Welcome back to the Ronny and Ernie show. I am Ron Williams. I'm a sommelier and wine specialist, and
I'm Ernie Zahn. I'm a filmmaker and I do other things as well.
it's so vague though. It's like, and I do other things as well.
Well,
It's just like I'm a
what do I
filmmaker
what do I
and
do?
other
Well,
stuff.
I work out in the mornings. I cook all of my own meals. I'm pretty much in charge of all of my body functions.
My, guess what? Oh my God, my heart beats on its own. I breathe.
Yeah. Um,
Each week we
I
get
do
together and
what
discuss our shared interests.
And despite our very different lines of work, it's our shared interests that give us an opportunity to collaborate on various projects. So sometimes we'll talk about those projects right here on this podcast.
Or list things about ourselves like that apply to just being human.
I consume food. I put food in my car called gasoline, except
Fuel,
not right now because I'm not using
petrol.
it very much.
Oh, I
As of the
am.
recording of this, March 31st. Yeah, you're still working, huh?
Yeah, it's weird.
How's it going there? Are you doing more curbside pickup or do you still have enough people coming in?
I'm really trying to avoid that. Um,
What?
there are
Which
people
one?
at the store who do not avoid people coming into the store. I am trying to encourage delivery and curbside pickup at the wine shop. But
Hmm.
there are still people who come in. There's even a big, huge sign right in the front when you walk in. It's like, stop, please wait for assistance. People sometimes just blow right past it.
And what was the
Um,
reasoning to declare quote unquote package stores an essential
yes,
business?
yes, in
Can you
Connecticut,
talk?
all liquor stores are referred to as package stores for some reason. I don't understand why. But it was actually the all of the police chiefs throughout Connecticut that encouraged the governor to keep liquor stores as, under the umbrella of essential services that won't be shut down because they were afraid of lawlessness.
I mean, if you think about
That's
it,
kind of
because
crazy.
Connecticut still has blue laws, right? So if you closed it because it was an essential business having nothing to do with liquor, you basically would be reinstating prohibition,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
grocery stores, I guess they sell beer, but they don't sell liquor or wine necessarily. Like, right? So
I
the
think it's
grocery store,
supermarkets can't sell wine or spirits, but you can sell beer.
yeah, and
And
every
in New
every state
York, you
has its
can't
holdover.
sell beer and wine and spirits in the same store for some. That's so weird, though. I don't
In New
understand that.
Mexico, it is infinitely easier to get a beer and wine license than it is to get a proper liquor license. So there are very few bars, and there are an insane amount of breweries
Popping up like Starbucks.
that also serve wine. It's the startup culture of New Mexico is breweries.
Hmm.
Our
Breweries.
Silicon Valley is filled with hops. It's a hop valley.
Well, hoppy, hoppy. It's an IPA valley. Do you like
So,
IPAs?
okay, I'll drink one IPA, and that's all I
Yeah.
can stomach. It creates a fogginess in my head that's not pleasurable, and it leaves a feeling in my stomach that I can't tolerate. And I don't know if it's Crohn's disease or it's age or it's both or what. I have no idea. But
It is
I can do a
probably the
lager,
hops.
a pilsner, or just something fairly light. However, I can do a wheat beer no problem, like a
So it's not the
Hefeweizen.
gluten.
I don't
So
know
it's
what
not
it
the
is.
gluten.
It's
It.
whatever
I
makes
have
it
a
an
funny
ale.
feeling it's the. No, I have a funny feeling it's the hops. Because IPAs are generally very, very hoppy.
Yeah.
In some cases, more than twice the amount of hops will go into an IPA than into like a lager or, you know, any of the other
What
kind of
about like in
less
a
hoppy
Belgian
styles
beer?
of beer. Belgian style, like, those are ales, and those are. So
IPA
like
is
the
an ale though.
Leffe, stuff like that. Huh?
Yeah.
IPA is an ale, but IPA is a specific type of ale. Imperial or India pale ale
Yeah.
because they were created to survive the trip from England to India,
Oh, I
right?
see.
So so the hops are there as a preservative. So it
So
was
it goes
highly
well with cured
hopped.
meats
Oh, I guess so. I don't know. I
and
I haven't
scurvy.
paired a lot of beers. Oh my god. Yeah, not a lot of vitamin C in beer.
No. In Shock Top there probably is more than any other.
Oh yeah, actually, Hefeweizen. So like stuff like Hogarden or a lot of Hefeweizens are brewed with spices and citrus peels. So like orange peel or I think mandarin peel, something like that. So there may very well be some actual vitamin C in there, but it may just be negligible because it's
Yeah.
not the flesh; it's only the peels I think that are used.
But
But I
all of
am
them are vegan
not an
except
authority on
Guinness.
beer. Uh, Guinness, a lot of Corona, a lot of mass-produced beers are made using animal products like fish bladders and stuff like that. Fish
Yeah.
bladder is a fining agent in wine production as well, um,
Has the
or
vegan crowd
fish
caught on to the
gelatin.
fact that it's got that stuff in it?
That's the weird thing because I've had people who are like health nuts and like, oh, I only buy organic vegetables and everything's organic and all that, and then they'll buy like fucking Josh. Like that is so opposite from anything organic. Like that, I'm sure some of the people they buy from may use sustainable practices, but their production is so insanely large. There is no way that every single source they're getting their grapes from is organically grown.
Well,
It's impossible.
I think there's a conundrum with ethical veganism for the reason we just talked about, the fact that there's animal products used to produce those things, but also
Yeah.
what defines vegan, right? Is it
Well,
does it
bees.
mean
Some
that
people
you're
don't
consuming
have bees.
right?
Honey
So
rather.
does it mean you're consuming something that has at no point throughout its creation and distribution harmed an animal? Because if that's the case, then your MacBook is not vegan. Your iPhone is not vegan because the silicon mines are not regulated the same way they might
Oh,
be if they were here in the United States. The fact that
yikes.
many factories don't have smokestacks in other countries, that affects the wildlife, that wipes out lots of wildlife. Um, there's a lot that could not possibly be vegan. If it's just about not consuming meat, I mean, I don't know. But it seems to me that ethical veganism has a bit of a challenge unless your
Living off the
living
grid and
space,
farming
really,
your
if you're
own food.
exactly, if your living space is also your source of sustenance, if you're completely self-contained and self-sustainable, I think that's like ethical veganism, as far as I could tell. If you have to go out into the world to get something, the amount of animal life it affects is probably not quantifiable.
So I sent you an email.
You did send me an email.
I sent you an email. I don't know how I stumbled upon this, but just take a look. We will include this link in the show notes.
Should I
But
click it?
yes, click it.
It says do not click on
For
the subject.
yeah, I know because I didn't want you to open it before we were. I wanted to get the surprise of you seeing it live.
Okay,
So
does it have
open the
sound?
link. No, no, it's a page. It is something you can purchase. So for this all can be yours for $1,500. Is it
Oh my
1,500? You can get
god.
a custom made ruby rod leopard suit from the Fifth Element, complete with boots and I think the cane, the microphone cane.
I would say
It's
that we should split it, but we're different sizes.
yeah, it wouldn't fit.
But we could take turns wearing it. But
I
yeah, we'd
I
have to
was
get it refitted each time.
if I had that kind of money, I would have bought this for you for your birthday. That is what I would have done. I was initially looking for just the cane, just the microphone cane.
The mannequin looks like Robin Thicke.
The mannequin is really creepy.
Yeah,
The mannequin is really creepy.
yeah.
And so the turnaround time is what, 6 to 8 weeks, they say on the thing?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's ready to
Yeah.
ship in 6 to 8 weeks. And man, it has 499 reviews, and they are all 4 or 5 stars. I mean,
Not
that's got to say
included
something.
Ruby Rod wig.
Oh, the wig is separate. The wig is
Why
separate.
would you pay that much and then not get the wig? The wig looks like it's $10 of overhead.
I don't understand. I don't know. Maybe because they didn't want to ship it together. They just trying to make a few extra bucks. I don't know.
What do you think they have in that wig in order to keep the cylindrical section
Styrofoam, maybe.
aloft?
Styrofoam. Definitely styrofoam.
Okay. So we'll put this in. Are we putting this in the show notes? I mean,
Yeah, if somebody wants to buy
we're
it,
talking about something that's very
that you
visual
need to,
on
yeah,
the
you need to
radio.
see it. Yeah.
Okay. What are you watching right now? Yeah.
What am I watching right now? I am in the process of downloading the Blu-rays of Star Trek: The Next Generation, because they redid all the special effects and it's in
Yeah.
HD and it's really beautiful. Um, I started watching Westworld season 3.
Oh
I
yeah.
did not love the first episode, but the second episode kind of gets back to the roots. So I'm on the fence, but I'm open to seeing where they're going with this.
I mean, cheers to them for making it a different show. They could have just made this thing where it was always at the park and it's, oh, they're into new situations this week. What are they going to be up to now? It's not that kind of
Yeah,
show. It can't
it's
be this
different.
self-contained thing where it's always like adventures at the park. Um, so I've been watching the show Big Little Lies. Have you heard of it?
I have not.
It's
I've
a
heard the
HBO
title, but I
show.
have no idea.
Huge cast, like the kind of cast we were talking about. Oceans, right? The Oceans
Yeah,
films, like you can't have a big cast like that unless the point is to have a big cast like that. It's not about the story or anything like that. It's about the sensationalism and sort of like the,
it's the
the
Avengers.
right. It's about how big you can make it for the sake of making it big. It's part of the effect of Oceans, I think, right? Because
Yeah,
like Vegas is a lot. It's gratuitous in everything it offers, right? And so that's what I felt like the reasoning for having a huge amount of stars in it. This is the same deal though, but it's interesting because they seem so well balanced. It's got Zoe Kravitz, Nicole Kidman, Reese Witherspoon, Laura Dern from Jurassic Park. Um, just because I don't know if you know Laura Dern's movies, you know who that is, right?
um, Dr. Sadler.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. All right.
yeah, yeah. And Meryl Streep.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
huge cast. And the
Yeah.
interesting thing about it is it's so well balanced. No one really feels like they're overstepping anybody else's role. It doesn't feel like anybody's taking up too much screen time.
What's it about?
It it's a drama. Um, it's um, it's a sort of upper, probably somewhere between high class and upper middle class. Sort of that in between Bay Area, good amount of money kind of neighborhood, sort of like Greenwich, right? Um, Community of individuals. There's a lot of pretense and deception, and there's uh, there are deeper, darker secrets going on within this community,
Murder.
and maybe. Um,
Oh my god. All right.
are you gonna watch this?
Probably not.
Okay, then let me spoil it, because if we
Okay.
lose that segment of the audience for this podcast, I can live with it.
Okay.
So if they're all going to turn it off
Both
because
people.
they've been all the I was going to watch Big Little Lies audience
But now,
for
because you
our
spoiled it,
yeah,
you lost my viewership.
exactly. It's so it starts off in a pretty exciting place. So it starts off with this group of moms who all know each other because their kids go to the same school. And like I said, it's like think about Greenwich, Connecticut. Think about Martha's Vineyard. Think of like a very idyllic suburban community. People want for nothing. They're not billionaires or anything like that, but everybody does quite well and all that, right?
Okay.
Um, and I was there's a murder, right? Or there's a death that could be interpreted as a murder. And these five women in this community all know the truth behind what actually happened that day. Nicole Kidman's husband dead, and the public story is he lost his balance, fell down these stairs, and
Mm-hmm.
cracked his head open and died. And Nicole Kidman and all of the people in her circle, they all know what really happened because they were all there, and they all carry the responsibility of the cover up. And it turns out Zoe Kravitz did it, and she deliberately pushed him down the stairs, and and he took a little tumble. And then
Took a little tumble off the cliff.
and Meryl Streep's the mom of the husband who fell down the stairs, played by
The
the husband's
victim.
played by Alexander Skarsgård.
Oh,
And he
okay.
only ever comes up throughout the entirety of the show in flashbacks and memories because it starts off that this incident has already happened. And
Oh,
you start to get piece by piece this like narrative of how these women came together. They weren't all like best friends before this. They all came together for different reasons. There's a younger member of the group. I don't remember her name, but she was in The Fault in Our Stars. And turns out she was sexually assaulted by Alexander Skarsgård when he was alive. But she had a child from that incident with him, and that's how she got to know Nicole Kidman's character, and they all became friends. And then there was some kind of conflict that got very public at a party, and but they were off to the side away from the rest of the party, and that's when the actual death occurred going down the stairs. And it was all these women whose lives were brought together through this like terrible conflict and all these horrible precipitating incidents that culminated in this big event that happens off camera. And then the whole season is about how they take the steps to cover things up while all these other things around them are falling apart. Like Reese Witherspoon is in it, and her marriage is falling apart, and Alexander Skarsgård's mother, played by Meryl Streep, she's trying to take custody of Nicole Kidman's kids, and thinks that Nicole Kidman was responsible in the death of her son, and all that. And then it ends with this fantastic courtroom drama two-parter that ends with that Meryl Streep's character like really kind of like gets under your skin, just even as an audience member. Like you want her to lose because she's being so passive aggressive this whole time, making all these backhanded horrible remarks and thinking, "Oh, my son was such an angel and you killed him and he could never be horrible." And he was like also like a shitty husband. He used to abuse her and stuff like that. So this guy was very villainous. Nobody ever knew about it, and the only thing that's public is the fact that he died, and there are suspicions that he was killed. And so they're
mm,
all kind of, the case is not closed, but it's not terribly active. But they're all being kind of looked at by the public as sort of these vilified figures, especially by Meryl Streep's character. And you really like when you're on like the edge of your seat through this courtroom drama, really hoping, like Meryl Streep's character just gets blown out of the water, and then finally that day comes. Nicole Kidman, whose character is like a retired attorney, decides to do a cross examination on Meryl Streep's character and completely gets in her head and fucking crushes it, and it's just like such a relief. And then after all of that, they decide as a group, the group of women who are keeping the lie, they all decide that they're going to go to the police station. They all just show up without even, I don't even know if they discussed it, but they all show up in front of the police station and walk. And the implication is that they're going to go and take ownership and take responsibility of covering up and what the actual and how the actual incident occurred. And then I find out there's a second season, and it already came out. So I'm like, what's the second season? Is it them in prison? Is the next episode, the first episode of the next season, going to be them, chickening out in the last second and then backing away, and then it's another crazy, incredibly tense season of like, are they going to get caught or not kind of situation? Is it going to switch villains because it seems like Meryl Streep got blown out of the water, or is she going to come back and continue to undermine things? And then I go onto Amazon, which is where my HBO's hooked in, and I go to the second season. I start playing the episode, and I realize, wait a second, this is playing out the same way the episode of the first season played out, where we're meeting these characters. It's the first day of school. They're dropping their kids off, and then it ends with them like talking about the lie that they're covering up and all that. And then I think, I double check. Am I on season 2? Yes, I'm on season 2. Am I on the episode? Wait, this episode title is the same title as the first season. So I'm thinking, what did they duplicate? Did they do some sort of glitch where they populated both seasons 1 and 2 with the second season or with the first season episodes?
Huh.
I go on Wikipedia, and I'm sure that there's a glitch on Amazon, and I'm like, what the hell? During quarantine, you copy and pasted wrong? I look up Wikipedia, and I find out I watched the second season.
What?
I watched the second season. I never saw the first season. All that was the second season. That's where I started the show.
What?
And here's the thing. I was not lost, with the exception of looking back on it, some minor confusions. Most of the show, most of the point of every episode, everything they were talking about, I was all on board for. I was following everything.
So the events that transpired like before the show
All the
started
information
were season
I
1.
needed, all the information I needed was reiterated in some way or presented in an easy to understand way, and I did not need to watch the first season at all to know everything. And everything they referenced, all the precipitating events that led to the incident, all that stuff happened through dialogue with the characters throughout the second season. So it carried over all of the information you needed to know, just in the situations. I've never done that before, and I've never done it especially unwittingly. And I'm actually curious now with some other shows if that's also the case. I don't think it would be the case with Westworld.
No, Westworld does a lot of flashbacks, but Westworld is very complicated, and you could never do that with something like Game of Thrones or...
I don't think I understood half of the second season of Westworld anyway.
Yeah, it was...
There's a lot going on.
It was tough.
So, yeah. I'm not good at binge watching shows, I guess.
Apparently not.
I'm an unskilled
Should check.
TV watcher. I don't usually watch
Check
shows.
the seasons.
Yeah. Pro tip, if you would like to watch a show, make sure you know what episode you're watching.
Yeah.
if you want to know what's going on. But then again, I didn't really have any trouble. I just wanted to see what happened after the police station. But I guess that's how the show ends.
Oh, so that's it. The show is over.
Well, I
Two
mean,
seasons. That's it.
I guess, yeah, where else are you going to go? And how long can you keep paying Meryl Streep? You have a recipe
Cool
you wanted
kid,
to
man.
talk about.
Yeah. Um. Well, it's more of a group of recipes, isn't it?
It is.
So, what is the title? You sent it to
You
me.
want me to give the title?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So, because
This is a joint
things.
venture with you and
Yes.
me and the Bon
Yeah.
Vivant.
Because this is kind of a strange time right now. We were thinking about this idea of a resource that we could offer people. And the thing I've been observing personally is there's a lot of panic shopping. People buying things that are not practical. If the true reason for shopping is to shop for the weeks that we don't know we have yet to get more food. And so people are shopping for the things they're used to shopping for when they go once a week, except they're buying up all of it, buying up all the chicken breast,
I
right?
need
Or buying up all the
47
ready-made
frozen
crap.
peas.
Right. So this was an idea to say, how could we come up with a free small booklet of recipes that could inform a smarter way to shop during this time, right? Because the other thing you have to consider is if you're panic shopping and you're making a lot of bad choices and you're buying in bulk, think about what happened with toilet paper and hand sanitizer. People are not thinking with their heads when they shop like that, and they're being incredibly inconsiderate to the other people in their community who really need to have access to those same resources as well.
Yep.
So this is a booklet of recipes, 9 recipes that are using affordable, mostly non-perishable
For the most part,
ingredients
yeah.
that they're also simple to cook, and they also taste great, and they're healthy. So do you want to reference a couple of them? You don't have to get into the whole detail of each one, but
Sure. Well, what's the title?
so the title is Recipes to Thrive By, or How I Learned to Stop Panic Shopping and Cook in Quarantine.
Very good. So, the premise is basically just still eating well with simple ingredients, simpler recipes. So we start off with breakfast. I do my the Bon Vivant pancakes, and it's very easy because I know a lot of people have oil in their cabinet. They may not be able to have access to butter. A lot of pancake recipes call for butter. So this one's a lot easier. If you don't have buttermilk, this one calls for buttermilk. You can substitute regular milk as well. Um, the buttermilk will. The thing about buttermilk is it lasts a very long time because it's cultured. There are bacterial cultures in there, just like yogurt, that keep it from going bad.
Right.
So these all ingredients have longevity, are not very expensive. Um, I put in my grandmother's frittata recipe, which is not really a traditional frittata. It's potatoes and eggs, but it's quite good and it's quite easy. Um, Scones in there. Um, I love scones. I love scones for afternoon tea. Um, and if you have European style butter, I know that's maybe harder to come by, but that's what really shines through with this scones recipe. Really, really
But it
good.
also, there are some good bulk items to consider. There's a good lentil soup recipe.
Yep.
There's also the
Um,
Cuban black bean soup with rice,
yep.
right?
Risotto
Yeah.
and the lentil soup we discussed last time, but that's just in there,
Right.
to give a good option.
Yeah.
Um, and then if you've been good, if you've been, eating your vegetables, as it were, there's a little bit of a bonus recipe at the end, and it's kind of three in one because it is rather involved, and this may have to save until after the quarantine is over, unless you can get access to all this stuff. But it is the full lasagna recipe.
And if you
Um,
can, it's a good project to kind of mitigate the stress right now.
yeah, it's
But
very involved, so it will take up all of your attention.
yeah. So the idea basically is if you're someone who's in a position where you have more options for how you can shop, this recipe booklet is not just some good meals to try out while you're in quarantine, but it also enables you to change your thought process when you're shopping. It's important to keep yourself safe, keep yourself fed as best as you can, but also think about the other individuals in your community. Think about all the individuals who are going in for those designated senior hours in the morning. If you're shopping at a maximized version of your typical shopping choices, then you're creating challenges for other people who don't have the same opportunity to get food. So it's ultimately against your self-interests. So this booklet is a way to rethink how to consume and how to cook during a time when we all need to be mindful because we're all doing our part.
Well said.
Thank
Well
you.
said.
I mean, that lentil soup recipe is great. I cook it a lot.
Yeah, every day. I have that every single day.
And the Cuban and black bean, too. I really like that.
I love that one. That's what we survived on when we
Yes,
were on a
for
shoestring budget for one of our film shoots.
right. I was on Spam before that.
Oh my God.
But the black bean soup is probably a little bit better for you and not too far apart in cost.
Yeah, very cheap. Beans are cheap. Um, it just takes a lot of time, but most of it's just, leave it to simmer
And you
for
make it in
hours.
bulk.
I used to, for us, because we were, what, like 6 or 8 people.
Well, I mean, you can,
Um,
is my point.
you can make it in bulk. The recipe calls for 1 pound of dried black beans, and
Hmm.
that is at least what that's 6 hefty servings,
Yeah.
or maybe even more. Um, I like to serve it with rice, so like steamed white rice or boiled white rice, and you got yourself a complete meal there, because
A little
it's carbs,
cilantro on top, but
protein,
not for you.
fat. Not for me. It tastes like soap for me. I wish I could eat cilantro. I really do. Um,
So you don't like heat because you can't tolerate it or because it's not palatable to you?
I don't like heat because it aggravates my condition.
Is it palatable to
Um,
you though?
yeah, I mean, I don't like heat just for the sake of heat. I'm fine with like jalapeno, serrano, poblano, like peppers that have flavor, because each one of those chilies has a certain flavor that it brings. So like I recently had a bean dish that had chipotle in there, and it wasn't like overwhelmingly spicy. It added just another layer of depth and complexity and a flavor in there that was very, very enjoyable. It was delicious. It was amazing. Mexican refried beans with chipotle in there. Incredible.
Yeah.
Um, like habanero, Scotch bonnet, ghost chilies, like just insane amounts of capsaicin does not do anything for me. I do not enjoy the burn for the burn's sake. I'm okay with a little bit of heat, but as long as there is flavor there, and sparingly because it really messes with my stomach. I
So
do
if
not
you become a
advise
world famous
anyone with IBS.
sommelier, yeah.
Yeah,
So if you become a world famous sommelier, you're not going to make an appearance on Hot Ones.
never. I refuse. I will never make an appearance on Hot Ones. I find that completely like I don't understand. I cannot fathom the mind of the person. Like Gordon Ramsay did a joint kind of YouTube video there, and he's like, at the very end, he's like, "Oh, shout out to Hot Ones," and then he fucking throws the hot sauce away because it's like, no, you don't need that. There is no further embellishment that is needed. I don't understand people who add hot sauce to everything. I don't. Unless, I
Yeah.
mean, you're missing taste buds, and that's the only way you can derive enjoyment from your food.
Well, let me
But
ask
even
you
then,
this.
yeah,
You've heard of low reactive and high reactive personalities.
yeah,
That typically refers to uh, bodily experiences, like people who respond very poorly to a roller coaster, whereas another person is almost unsatiated by the experience of the roller coaster. They need more, right?
mm-hmm,
So they
mm-hmm.
skydive or whatever. I
Okay.
wonder if there is a taste version of that.
I wonder.
For taste and aromatics. Because there are also people who really like pungent things.
Yeah, people who like assertive flavors.
Like Stilton cheese. I couldn't touch that.
Um, in in small quantities, yeah.
I personally couldn't. I'm high reactive to things like that.
Mm,
That's why I like mozzarella. Parmigiano Reggiano's
very.
I'll have that as well, but my cheese range is limited.
Hmm. No, that Parmigiano is pretty damn good.
So yeah, but I wonder if there's something to that. Are you a data scientist?
No, I am not a data scientist.
There's probably one out there asking that question.
It's
I
definitely
wonder if
worth
that's already an
some
established
research.
answer.
Well, we can find out for next time.
For next week on the
Tune
Ronnie
in
and
next
Ernie
week.
show, Super Chicken gets into another scrap with
Oh my god. Yes.
um,
Sopa chicken.
Super Chicken. All right, ready?
Yeah. Shall I start or are you gonna start?
No, it's my turn.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
The Ronnie and Ernie Show is a joint production of Triello Storytelling Company and the Bon Vivant. Our show is now available. Our show is now available on Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. If you like what you're hearing, then commenting, subscribing, and reviewing means that this show only gets better.
Are you like a '60s game show host?
You got that right, Ronald.
Recipes, projects, or anything we didn't have enough time to talk about on
Oh
today's
wait,
show will be
rewind,
up on our
rewind it, rewind
blogs.
it, rewind it,
What?
right,
What?
rewind it. Go back to the top.
Okay.
Conroy Patterson.
Why? The whole, just my bit.
Yep.
Okay. Recipes, projects, or anything we didn't have enough time to get to on today's show will be up on our blogs. They're available at triello.org/blog.
At each of our sites, you can also take a look at what we're currently up to and check out some of the amazingly talented people whom with we collaborate.
With whom we collaborate.
Whom with?
Who with we collaborate with whom?
To Blave. Okay. Have a
We'll
good
get it one day.
and splendid day.
You too.
And the zine will be available at the show notes to download
Yes.
for free.
And then I'll
And
put it on my website.
yes, absolutely. And then it's a great way to stay in shape.
It's a great way to stay in shape.
We need to footnote every time we reference something that's not ours. Family Guy, Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Attribution.
In the show notes. And look
But
at that Ruby
I
Rod
do-
costume.
every time one of us finishes a sentence, but we still feel like there's something missing, we say that.
It's a great way to stay in shape.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good little, it's a nice, it's a filler.
Yeah. 45 minutes.
Subject.
All right. I gotta get out of here.
All right, you do that. Ciao.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.